The Xiaomi Mi Note 10, or the CC9 Pro as it's called in mainland China, is officially the world's best camera phone. At least according to DxO Mark. It officially shares the top spot in the DxO Mark rankings with the Mate 30 Pro from Huawei. Not to mention, this is by far the cheapest phone in the list. So how on earth does a phone this cheap punch so far above its weight? The two main reasons that the Mi Note 10 gets such a high score is because of the main camera unit and the zoom camera unit. Firstly, Xiaomi are using a brand new type of 108 megapixel sensor in the Mi Note 10. This means images from that sensor are simply sharper than photos from the rivals like the iPhone and the Note 10 Plus. The sharper an image, the better for the DxO Mark score. You can see texture and noise scores for the Mi Note 10 are relatively high because if you have more pixels, you will get a sharper image. It must also be said though that when you take pictures in full camera readout 108 megapixel mode, you actually can't use HDR on this phone. That's something to be aware of because HDR is super important in modern smartphone photography. The other reason the Mi Note 10 gets such a high score in DxO Mark is because of the zoom range, and here's how they did it. In the zoom portion of the test, the Mi Note 10 got a huge 109. That's versus the iPhone's measly 74 points. This is pretty much the main reason why the Mi Note 10 got such a high score as compared to the iPhone and the Note 10 Plus. Xiaomi have added a 5x optical zoom camera to the Mi Note 10, although this is very different from the technology that we see in the Huawei P30 Pro. The P30 Pro and also the Oppo Reno 10x use a periscope style zoom camera. Because the main limiting factor to zoom in a smartphone is actually the lens setup, the periscope zoom system places the camera sensor off to the side of the lenses and then arranges those lenses in a periscope style so that you can fit in a more complicated lens setup to achieve actual 5x optical zoom. Xiaomi didn't actually do this. What they actually did was use a 4x zoom lens setup and an 8 megapixel camera sensor. Then to get 5x zoom, they simply crop into the 8 megapixel image. Cropping into the image or the sensor using software does create that extra zoom range. However, it does also reduce the resolution of the image, which is why that 8 megapixel sensor is actually taking 5 megapixel images. This is quite a clever way of getting around the zoom situation without using very expensive hardware like the periscope zoom. It must also be known that the score on DxO Mark is actually for the Mi Note 10 Premium Edition. This phone is not the same as the normal Mi Note 10 or the CC9 Pro. It features an 8-piece lens on top of the main camera unit, not a 7-piece lens. This will allow more light to enter the camera sensor, whereas one lens doesn't sound a lot, it can actually make a big difference. The DxO Mark test also puts the Mi Note 10 on a par with the iPhone 11 Pro Max in the video portion, which to be totally honest, I just don't agree with. iPhone just is the best video camera phone out there, but hey, that's just my opinion and my opinion is subjective. And also I want to ask you guys, what do you think of the DxO Mark scores? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for all the latest tech news and everything to do with Xiaomi. That's it for now, but I'll see you in the next one.